Stop. Put that jug of weed killer down. Look at the back of the bottle. Read the active ingredient. Now look at the price tag. You're paying $25 to $40 for a chemical your local park district stopped using years ago. And the weeds in your driveway are still coming back every 2 weeks anyway. Here's what nobody at the garden center will tell you. There's a 1-cup recipe that works in about 10 minutes, costs roughly 40 cents per application, and the EPA classifies its main ingredient as a minimum risk substance, not a registered chemical pesticide. Your dog can walk on the treated patch as soon as it dries. Your grandkids can play in the yard the same afternoon. Today, I'm giving you the exact recipe, the concentration the USDA Agricultural Research Service tested in published field trials. 3 mistakes that turn this from a weed killer into a soil killer, and the honest list of weeds will not handle. By the end of this video, you'll be able to mix 1 cup tonight, walk out to your driveway in the morning, and watch a 24-hour kill on broadleaf weeds with what's already in your kitchen. And I'll tell you about Henry, a county parks groundskeeper who managed 40 acres for 22 years without spraying glyphosate once. His secret, written on a strip of masking tape inside his tool shed, is the recipe I'm about to show you. But first, why does the chemical you've been buying for years keep failing? Here's the part the marketing department doesn't put on the label. Most retail weed sprays are non-selective contact herbicides. That means they kill what they touch on the day you spray. They do not kill the seed bank in your soil. They do not kill the roots of established perennials like dandelion or bindweed. Northwest Center for Alternatives to Pesticides documented this clearly. Contact herbicides destroy cell membranes on the leaf surface only. The roots survive. New growth pushes up in 10 to 21 days. So you spray again, and again. And every spray costs you another $8 to $12 per gallon of mix. The University of Maryland Extension notes that even glyphosate, the heavy-duty chemical most homeowners reach for, requires repeat applications and carries documented health concerns serious enough that several U.S. counties and school districts have banned its use on public grounds. Here's what soil scientists call the chemical treadmill. The herbicide kills the surface plants. It also kills beneficial soil microbes. Microbe-poor soil grows weaker desirable plants. Weeds, which evolved to colonize disturbed, depleted ground, move back in stronger than before. You spray more. The cycle deepens. The lawn care industry loves this cycle. It's why the U.S. residential weed killer market is worth over $1 billion a year. Now, here's what the EPA actually says about the active ingredient in our recipe. Acetic acid at concentrations of 8% or less is exempt from EPA pesticide registration under FIFRA 25B, the Federal Minimum Risk Pesticide Rule. That's the same rule that covers things like cinnamon, clove oil, and citric acid. It is regulated as low risk because it breaks down in soil within days, leaves no carcinogenic residue, and is not bioaccumulative. The chemical you have in your kitchen right now belongs to the same regulatory category as the spices in your cabinet. Henry, the county groundskeeper I mentioned, told me something I've never forgotten. He said, "The county switched us off the chemicals in 2003. We didn't lose a single fence line. 22 years, 40 acres. One recipe. Grab a pen. Here it is. 1 cup of distilled white vinegar, 5% acidity, the standard kitchen kind. 1 teaspoon of pure liquid dish soap. No antibacterial additives. No bleach. No degreaser formula. That's it. 2 ingredients. About 40 cents. The dish soap matters more than people realize. What chemists call a surfactant is a compound that reduces the surface tension of water. Without it, vinegar beads up on the waxy leaf cuticle of a weed and rolls off before it can do anything. With 1 teaspoon of dish soap, the solution spreads into a flat film across the leaf surface and stays there long enough for the acid to strip the cuticle. That's the real mechanism, not poisoning, but what botanists call desiccation. The plant loses its waterproof coating. Water evaporates out of every cell at once, and the leaf collapses within hours. Pour your mixture into any spray bottle. Label it. This is important. You do not want this confused with kitchen vinegar 3 months from now. Now, the application. Spray on a hot, sunny day. Above 70 degrees Fahrenheit is the minimum. Above 85 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal. The USDA Agricultural Research Service field trials, published in 2002 and confirmed in follow-up studies through 2006, showed that acetic acid herbicides perform best in direct sun at high temperatures because heat accelerates the desiccation. A cool, cloudy day cuts your kill rate in half. Spray to wet, not soak, the leaves and stem. Get the underside if you can. You should see visible wilting within 10 minutes and full leaf collapse within 24 hours. That fast 10-minute response is what makes this satisfying to watch. You walk out, spray a dandelion in your driveway crack, refill your coffee, walk back, and the leaves are already curling. If learning the actual science behind kitchen ingredient gardening saves you money, hit subscribe. We do one of these every week. Now the upgrade. If kitchen vinegar at 5% isn't strong enough for your situation, say you're dealing with mature broadleaf weeds with 3 or 4 leaves already, there's a second tier. It's called horticultural vinegar, and it runs 20% to 30% acetic acid. Purdue Extension's research summary notes that at higher concentrations, kill rates jumped to 85% to 100% across all growth stages of common weeds like lamb's quarters, smooth pigweed, and velvet leaf. But, and this is where I have to be very direct with you, horticultural vinegar above 11% acetic acid is no longer kitchen safe. It can cause permanent eye damage and burn skin on contact. The Northwest Center for Alternatives to Pesticides documents that goggles, waterproof gloves, long sleeves, and long pants are required PPE. This is not a spray it casually in flip-flops product. If you go to 20% horticultural vinegar, you're operating like a professional applicator. Treat it that way, or stay with the 5% kitchen recipe. 3 mistakes that turn this recipe from a weed killer into a soil killer. Pay attention. Mistake 1. Adding salt. Every viral hack on the internet tells you to add a cup of table salt to your vinegar mix. Do not do this. Salt, sodium chloride, does not break down in soil. It accumulates. Repeated salt applications create what soil scientists call sodic soil, ground, where nothing will grow for years. The Garden Professors, a peer-reviewed extension blog run by university horticulture faculty, has documented multiple homeowner cases of permanent dead zones from vinegar and salt mixtures. If you absolutely must use the salt version, restrict it to cracks in concrete driveways and brick patios, where you never want anything to grow ever again. Never on lawn edges, never on garden beds, never anywhere within 6 feet of a tree root. Mistake 2. Spraying on a windy day. Acetic acid is non-selective. It does not know the difference between the dandelion you want dead and the tomato seedling 3 feet away. Drift from a windy spray can defoliate your lettuce, your herbs, and your young flower starts in minutes. Wait for a calm morning. Less than 5 miles per hour wind. If the leaves on your trees are moving, don't spray. Mistake 3. Expecting one application to handle perennial weeds with deep tap roots. The University of Maryland Extension and the USDA both confirm this directly. Vinegar is a contact herbicide. It does not travel down to the roots. Dandelions, Canada thistle, bindweed, and field. Bindweed will show top kill in 24 hours, and push new growth in 10 to 14 days from the surviving root. The fix is not stronger vinegar. The fix is repeat applications every 10 to 14 days for 3 cycles. Each cycle starves the root a little more by forcing it to spend stored energy on new leaves. By cycle 3, most taproots are exhausted. Now, the honest limitations. I'd rather you go in clear-eyed than disappointed. This recipe works extremely well on young broadleaf weeds, chickweed, lamb's quarters, plantain, purslane seedlings, smooth pigweed, carpetweed, ground ivy in early spring. The University of Maryland Extension lists these specifically as well-controlled species in the published trials. It works moderately on mature broadleaf weeds with multiple repeat applications. It works poorly on grasses. USDA trials showed only 25% to 74% control on grass weeds versus 96% on broadleaves. Crabgrass, foxtail, and lawn-type grasses generally recover. It does not work on woody perennials at all: poison ivy, blackberry canes, established brush. For those, you need a different strategy entirely. It is not a soil sterilant, and it is not residual. It will not prevent new weed seeds from germinating next week. It only kills what it touches on the day you spray it. A quick safety note for pet owners. The 5% kitchen recipe is considered safe around dogs and cats once the spray has dried, usually within an hour in normal conditions. The ASPCA animal poison. Control Center notes that small amounts of dilute acetic acid cause mild gastrointestinal upset at worst. Don't let pets drink directly from puddled spray. Keep them off the area until dry. That's the rule. Same rule applies to children. Quick question for the comments before I close. What's the worst weed problem in your yard right now? Driveway cracks? Garden beds? Lawn invasion? Drop it below. I read every one, and your answer might shape the next video. Now, the dollar math. A standard 32-ounce bottle of name-brand chemical weed killer concentrate runs $24 to $38, depending on the brand. It treats roughly 800 to 1,200 square feet of weed area, depending on dilution. A gallon of distilled white vinegar at any grocery store costs around $4. A bottle of pure dish soap, $3. 1 gallon of mixed kitchen vinegar spray treats roughly the same square footage as the chemical concentrate, at a cost of about $4.50. That's a savings of $20 to $33 per gallon. Over a full season, 3 to 5 applications on a typical suburban lot, you're looking at $80 to $150 staying in your pocket. Per year. Every year. Your action this week is very specific. Tonight, before you go to bed, mix 1 cup of distilled white vinegar with 1 teaspoon of dish soap in a labeled spray bottle. Tomorrow morning, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., on the sunniest patch of weeds in your yard, a driveway crack, a sidewalk edge, a fence line, spray to wet the leaves. Walk away. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Come back. You will see the leaves wilting. That moment, watching it work in real time on something you grew up being told required a $35 chemical, is the moment everything changes. Picture this. 6 weeks from now, you walk down your driveway on a Saturday morning. Coffee in hand. The cracks are clean. The fence line is clear. There's no plastic jug under the kitchen sink with a skull and crossbones label. Your hands are clean. Your dog is rolling in the grass. The lawn care industry made $1 billion last year, selling Americans a chemical they didn't need to fight a problem they could have solved with the bottle next to their salad dressing. That's what Henry knew. 22 years on 40 acres. No glyphosate, no Roundup, no $40 jugs. Just 1 cup of vinegar, 1 teaspoon of soap, the right day, and the right application. Now you know it too. Tell me in the comments. Driveway cracks, garden beds, or lawn? I read every one. And if you've got a neighbor who's been wasting money on chemical weed killer for years, send them this video. They'll thank you for the next 22 years. Now go get your hands dirty.